Welcome to BodyWork.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to BodyWork.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to BodyWork.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Oh man. Another year around the sun, man, and this is a time of much reflection. And I just sit back and I look and I listen, man, and I'm amazed that I'm not the person I used to be, man. Yeah. There come a point in time when you realize that, man, life is short, man, so you gotta enjoy each and every day. And even though your intentions might be good, some always seem to get in your way. You can't help it. It's the irony of life, you know what I'm saying? And so I've just been reflecting, man. I've been looking at, a lot of the videos I was doing around this time last year, and I've been reflecting on what a wonderful boxing year we've had in 2023. Now, me personally, I'll be honest. In all of the big fights, I'm like 15, 20% in the big fights overall. When I look at every single big fight that was anything near 50-50, that was anything near what the people were asking for, I'm at like 20%. Is that a reflection on my boxing acumen? Hey, that's up for grabs. That's up for debate. But what I do know is that funny things happen, man. And not too long ago, maybe coming up on about a month ago, Bernard Hopkins, pre-Ryan Garcia fight, he said, boxing will call your bluff. Life will too. Life will too, you know what I'm saying? And since I'm the type of person that like to put a little bit of real life and a little bit of logic of real life into the boxing talk, try to kind of remain responsible but still be myself and embody who I am in real life online and not be a character, I get spent around. I get spun around and then spun around and then spun around again. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just real curious right now. I'm to the point where I'm like, can we stand on something? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know that's it don't sound like a Herculean task, and it's like it sound good, but I'm like, really? Can we stand on something? Because let's be honest, man. Right now, the loudest voices in boxing, man, don't have boxing's best interests in mind. It don't. So if you want to be honest with yourselves, if you want to be honest with your fans, if you want to be honest with your followers, if you want to be honest with your peers, we can look back and we can just look at a microcosm of several different things that happened, man. And we're not standing on anything. You know what I'm saying? I think back to the Shadasia Green card. You know, it was her moment and her time to shine, and she was under the Jake Paul card. Now, Jake Paul had came out and he predicted that he was going to get a knockout in the first round. I'm like, man, with all of the accusations swirling around the sport, you know what I'm saying? For you to actually predict that, then go out there and do that to somebody that you was building up saying, hey, he had more wins than Jake Paul. He had more knockouts than Jake Paul. And they were building up like, oh man, this man got shot. He was this and this and that. And this man came out there, and I kid you not, because I'm not a fan of novelty boxing, but he came out there and he was putting out a superior jab. He was putting out a jab upstairs. He was putting out a jab downstairs. He was moving his feet. He was out of the way. He was hitting and not getting hit. Sticking and moving. He in there floating like a butterfly, and then bada boom, bada bing, he stung like a bee. And my man was out. He had the keloid in the chest and everything. When I see him, I said, man, anybody got a keloid in the middle of their chest, man, they can withstand some pain. You know what I'm saying? This man, Jake Paul, came out there and spanked him. And I rewind back to looking at Shadeja Green, you know, amidst her fight with Franchon Cruz Dezern. And I'm like, Franchon didn't look like herself. It looked like the time in the gym didn't resonate in the fight that night. But then you come out and you have a Jake Paul that come out and do that. I'm like, man, we letting novelty boxing take over the sport. And I apologize because this is the pulse of boxing, but at the same time, I don't. Because I think that's one of the biggest problems right now in the sport, man. Is like everybody's not keeping under the buck. Nobody's really willing to really just stand on something. There's so many double standards, man. I just figured that I had to get on here, man, and just speak to some of this stuff, make myself vulnerable to anybody who might want to jump in here. I put myself in the hot seat. If you got a bone to pick, you know what I'm saying, then I'll be your huckleberry. It's just simple as that. You can get down to it, you know what I'm saying? You can read me my rights, but you better be right, or you won't get left. But I'm just reflecting on everything in boxing and trying to be optimistic person, somebody that's positive. Somebody that's being real positive about the sport. And I'm just like, man, I think a lot of content creators have figured this out. I think Bob Arum had figured this out a long time ago. He said fans are like rocks. You can just throw them wherever you want them to be. You can just toss them over here and toss them over there. Wherever you toss them, that's where they're going to land, and that's where they're going to stand. And I'm like, yikes, when I look at the climate of boxing right now. A lot of people will see the thumbnail and be like, oh, that's a Tnk fanboy and blah, blah, this. But I'm like, man, listen, man. This man Tnk told us, hey, man, I want the money. You know what I'm saying? I want that bag. I'm not going to fake y'all out. I'm not going to hit y'all with the stutter step. I'm not going to pump fake y'all like I'm chasing legacy and this and this and this. Yes, I am defining a legacy. But I'm taking a tutelage of what I've been shown and what I've been told. And right now, it's like going after a belt, you know what I'm saying, to a certain extent, unless you find yourself being somebody like Naoya, somebody like the young Jesse Bam Rodriguez, you know what I'm saying, somebody out there to where what you embody outside the ring and how people perceive you and your record and your persona and everything you embody inside the ring, that's really not happening right now. We got two sides of the same coin, because at the end of the day, we got to stand on the fact that this is prize fighting. That means these fighters get hit in the head for a living. When they all that sparring, all that training, all running them hills, running them mountains, putting in that road work, it all equates to somebody actually going in there and trying to knock your block off or go upside your head and make an example out of you. And if they can fluff your pillow, they're going to do just that. But I remember, how many of y'all remember when Bill Haney said that the fight between Tnk and Ryan was an exhibition fight? Raise your hand. Well, isn't it ironic that 2 fights later, Devin Haney is looking at fighting Ryan Garcia? When he got an already predetermined mandatory and already a deal to where I always tell y'all, if somebody gets a title and they're on a promotional company, it's very rare that you can win a title under that promotional company and they let you walk out the door. Some can argue that Eddie Hearn built up Devin Haney. He got him up there, you know, and positioned him and did this and this and that. And when Loma decided to get elevated to the franchise, Devin Haney received the belt. But Eddie Hearn had built him only for Devin Haney to leave him, go to Bob Arum to chase Undisputed, get it, and then bring it back. Like, brought it back. Like, after he fought Kambosos, brought it right back. After he fought Loma, brought it right back. Best laid plans. But it's real odd that in the interim, Eddie signs Regis Program. He signs Richardson Hitchens as well. And I'm a caution Richardson Hitchens, man. You better take a page out of Demetrius Andre's book, man. Because sometimes a promoter will sign you and shelve you so that you will not be able to ever see the person that you're supposed to and destined to fight. And if you need an example, we can look at Demetrius Andre. And if it sounds like I'm speaking blasphemy, get on here and blast me. You did? But I don't think I am, though. And I don't think I'm going to get any takers. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not an opinion-based channel. This is a fact-based, content-created channel. I can't do content if I don't feel right. If I'm not even in the right mood, I won't even do a video because I don't want to put that kind of energy out there. But in the grand scheme of things, we know based on action, because it's one thing to come out and say something, and then it's another thing to go out and do something else. And we see a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern. Like as far as my job and what I do for a living, I'm accustomed to, trained, programmed to recognize patterns, to recognize when things are off, when things are on, when things are not doing what they're supposed to do, when things doing what they're supposed to do. And if you look at certain fighters' past, man, you can see that it's not organic. You know what I'm saying? It's like eating real beef versus a manufactured sandwich. Yeah, it's going to be fulfilling to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? It's going to keep you from starving. But when that real ain't real, you're going to know it as a real person. Because real recognize real. And I'm wondering, when Bill has said that Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia was an exhibition fight, how do we fast forward 2 fights later with Devin Haney and we supposed to reasonably, responsibly consider the fact that Devin Haney is going to fight Ryan Garcia? Well, what was it when Tank did it? How was it nothing in the exhibition only for when and see, I was trying to, like, I know I don't stick around. I realized this too. I don't stick around. If I go around, I'm super chatting, I'm donating your channel money, I'm commenting, you always ignoring me. I decided, hey man, as much as I want to support, we might not agree, I might want to support what you got going on. But I'm not no fool. I'm not going to keep contributing to your channel. I'm not going to keep giving energy to your channel, commenting on your channel, and you ignore me, and then you act like whenever I have a difference of opinion, then, oh, I'm wrong. Only for you months later A couple people, it's been a year later, a year and a half later, 2 years later now. Well, you on the same side as me. And I'm like, well, why was we beefing then? What was your problem with me? Because in the end, you know what I'm saying, I wound up being right and you wound up being wrong. That sounds kind of proud. It's only a couple of videos I've made where I've actually had remorse about making them. And when I look at it, it's like, dang, I'm remorseful that I actually took them down, because they would stand the test of time. Because now that I took them down, I can't repost them. And it's like, I'm right again. You just got to wait time, because people are like pattern. If you recognize their behavior, you can recognize everything about them. You can read them. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I know it's casual, and I know Bob Aaron figured out that the fans are like rocks. But now content creators figured out that the fans are like rocks. And now they can play on both sides. Like, one in the morning, they can play all good and happy-go-lucky and give you all of the praise and all of the adulation and all these superlatives and adjectives to build you up. And then at night, it's another one that's going to come and say the exact opposite thing. Take a on you, call you all out your name, disrespect you, and guess what? They one and the same. Because even though they fundamentally disagree, they're always gonna be lock and step. There is no one without the other. You gotta draw your line in the sand, man. Or see the sand, man. But I'm like, man, with the recent development with Devin Haney and negotiations with Ryan Garcia, I'm like, man, do I even have to pull up your old videos about how Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia was an exhibition? But now it's okay now that Devin went. I was saying this a long time ago. And I digress from all this DHP stuff because I was one of the front runners and admitting and saying and pointing it out all along the way, because I'm a detail-oriented individual. But I was the prime hater of the time at the time, pointing out these things, and now every day that's all that's being pointed out. And I'm like, man, can we stand on something? I found myself, I was on Facebook and somebody put up a post, you know what I'm saying, about Tank and Devin, and I had to read it like 3 times. And when I looked at it, I said, oh man, I said, man, how can Tank actually be the one about clout? Because at the end of the day, the older you get, you know what I'm saying, you realize that impulsive actions lead to poverty. When you find yourself making a whole lot of decisions in haste, you know what I'm saying, quickly, without thinking, without deliberating, without having a plan, without being strategic, you realize that acting impulsively leads to poverty. That's why they say impulsive behavior leads to poverty. You're not tight on your budget. You don't got a tight hold on the purse string. Anything you see, you want to get. You promiscuous. Anything you see, you want to hit. You promiscuous. You got to think about it. Oh, man, I see it. Blah, blah, blah. You didn't stop and see if it was a coupon for it. You didn't even download the app and see if it was any discount. You just went and bought it. When you find out it was on for sale and they got you because they saw you coming because you didn't do your research. But when I look at it, man, I'm like, before we heard about Ryan Garcia, we heard about Mario Barrios. And I'm like, well, how were we hearing about Mario Barrios? But once again, that was one of the things where when Tank fought him, now the disclaimer is Mario Barrios was drained. Even though he had yet to move up, it's all this, whatever. But we would rather believe we'll put the energy towards Tank in a negative way. Well, Tank went up and fought the man. That was his 4th division. Devin goes up. He's only in his second division, talking about going to his third. And when people were saying that Tank went up, he grabbed Mario Barrios, he wasn't the man. They were saying Regis was the man. So he go up and he grabbed Mario Barrios, one who, if you know your history, Regis and Mario Barrios had already discussed. They had already had a little back and forth to where they was going to fight. And that's the same thing like Tank and Ryan versus Tank and Devin. Regis was trying to fight Mario Barrios. So how can it be a cherry pick for Tank to go up and fight Mario Barrios? And at the time, Regis had already stated that he was upset because he didn't get a chance to fight Mario Barrios, and he felt like Tank was taking food off his plate. And he stops him. He goes on to fight arguable Hall of Famer and Keith one-time Thurman. I'm not sure. I'm on the edge as to whether or not Keith Thurman is getting the Hall of Fame. I know he was an excellent boxer, but he goes up there and Keith Thurman couldn't stop him. Granted, it was another weight class, but see, people bring up the weight class. Oh man, that was another weight class. But when you talk about another fighter coming in 25 pounds heavier than what he's supposed to be weighing in the division that he faced, that's a whole different story. Can we stand on something? Can we stand on something? Because if you was live, if I can go in your archives, and y'all better not start deleting videos. If I can go in your archives and find them, I know. So all I got to do is go to my videos when I was speaking on it at the time, and then go to your videos when you was speaking on it at the time, and I can pinpoint. That's why I date my thumbnail. I can pinpoint when you was on that BS that you was on. And people always get mad when I call them out because they changed. But it's like, no, you're not consistent. You brand yourself as being consistent, but you flip-flop along with the tides. And if you don't flip-flop and say what's right, you're just going to continue being political, which does boxing no good. Shout out to Cookie Monster. Body work. Salute to Cookie Monster. Thanks for coming in and supporting. But I'm looking at it like, man, can we stand on something? And more importantly, in the span of a week, from Regis getting out of from Devin getting out of a fight with Regis to the very next day where his father lies about contacting Sabrina Matias, to where he finagles himself into having a conversation because he have a conversation on Monday. A lot of the fans legitimize what happened on Sunday, even though what happened on Sunday was a lie. That goes on to Tank and his team and what Coach Calvin said, and how Tank and them, who is the cash cow, who the ones who, regardless of what we say on YouTube, we all just shut it down right now. Regardless of what we say, there are still going to be like hundreds of thousands of people that actually still want to be involved with that fight, regardless if we was doing what we was doing on YouTube. Even the big, larger ones that actually have a large, influential presence, regardless of what they was doing on YouTube, there'll still be a numerous amount of people that's still going to support it, regardless of what we do. So what's being said on YouTube is not always factual. But we're in an era now to where you saying you want to fight is more important than you actually fighting. And I guess since Ryan was depleted and drained, and you're convinced that was the problem, it's like, oh, but you want one smaller gentleman who rarely has any advantages. If there's any advantage in anything I've seen, is maybe one fighter having a reach advantage. He might have a reach advantage over somebody. When it came down to Isaac Pitbull Cruz, he had that slight height advantage over him. But it's tricking with people with them low center of gravity. The shorter person always has the advantage, pretty much, but they can get up under you and you're punching. You know what I'm saying? It's a much like why Tyson was able to run through a lot of them heavyweights, because he was shorter than them. He's up under them. He can get in their chest, and when he dip and roll out, they don't know if it's a feint, if he's coming up with a punch, if he's throwing to the body or the head when he come up. Made him real dangerous. Well, it's a young guy that can do all of that right now, but he's like the Allen Iverson of the boxing game, has some of the best feet in the game, and he, just like Naoya Inoue, has the perfect combination of speed, power, and accuracy. Only when it comes down to power punching, he's the most accurate puncher in the world. And he's the one in question. Like, we got to be able to stand on something, man. We're not standing on anything. Like, how do you have an idle tongue? How do you have more energy for? Because you can come out and you can do something. You can do a video, you can do a post, you can do all this stuff about Tank and how they ain't this, and you can interpolate and assume, make all these assumptions. But when there's factual evidence right in front of you, like the fact that Bill Haney said that when Tank Davis fought Ryan Garcia, it was an exhibition. Only for 2 fights later, DHP and Ryan Garcia in negotiations. If you don't have anything loud and boisterous to say about that and that activity, other than blaming Tank, once again, I don't know what to tell you. You're not standing on anything. You're not standing on anything. A lot of talk out here, man, and I'm just looking back like, can we have any level of consistency? Because how is it okay now that even if Mario Barrios was the second opportunity, how is that okay when Tank moved up to his 4th weight class? Not his 2nd, his 4th. He got the job done with a knockout. In one part, he can't be called a weight bully. It get outrageous when you call him a weight bully, but then if he's not a weight bully, then what do you call it? And none of their fans want to speak about that. I think we've let a lot of people with a casual agenda take hold and take control over the sport of boxing. If you look at what Jake Paul is able to do, he's able to go ahead and target and plan and strategize against these people that he selects to be able to go and fight, go out and make a devastating performance. Give a performance that people are like, oh my goodness, did you see what just happened? Give that kind of performance. Whether it's WWE or WWF or not, I don't know. It's debatable. But he's able to give that performance. Why? Because we're not getting the elite fighting the elite. Because we're not being honest with each other. We got to start standing on something. If it wasn't good when Tank did it, how is it going to be good when another fighter do it? After that. If T.O. didn't get any credit for Loma when he did it, how do somebody that come along and beat Loma after that get even more credit? T.O. already went up to 140. He fought 3 times at 140. He had a step-up fight, presented some challenges. He got rid of the guy. The other guy was able to drop him a couple times. He wound up getting this decision. Whether it was a gift decision or not, who knows? But then he goes on and makes Josh Taylor look pedestrian. Gets no credit for it. Now, a guy that's bigger than a guy that fights at welterweight goes up, knocks a guy down, doesn't stop him, but is tremendously bigger than him, larger than him, has a history of not being able to do anything with somebody that was way smaller than him. In Lomachenko. Are we going to stand on something? This is the social media era, man, where if you got a loud voice, you can make it happen, but something got to happen when them big bright lights come on. When them big bright lights come on, something has to happen. I seen the interview where Shakur Stevenson said he apologized to Bob Arum the night after his performance against De La Santo. Why would you have to apologize? But you'll have fans online ready to pull up, send a location, ready to, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we standing on? Yeah, stuff happened, but what are we standing on? If the fighter actually apologize, but you willing to get somebody's like address and pull up, for what? You willing to be in the cage because somebody got an opinion on a fight, and you know you don't keep the same energy? Can we stand on something? Can we be solid about something? Can we keep it 10 times 10 about something? I was looking and watching, and I'm just tuning in, just getting, keeping my ears to the street so I can be the pulse of boxing. And in one breath, there's a conversation about Alicia Baumgartner. In another breath, it's a conversation about Conor Benn. And I'm stuck because those were two of my boxers. They was on the rise. I was scoping them out. I'm like, oh man, I like them. They was putting the eyeballs on screen. With AB, the problem, she got undisputed. All eyeballs on her. Weigh in, all eyeballs on her. Going there, putting them wonderful performance, got power, had the physique, got some flash, know how to talk that smack. Adverse findings. The world reacts. I heard people dismissing it right away. I'm like, hold on now. But when Conor Benn did it, I was shocked. I was like, oh man, don't say that. I said, I'm gonna reserve judgment. Then when it came out, confirmation, I said, oh man, gotta take him down from the intro. Then I said, you know what? Well, let me get some more information. I reserve judgment. I won't do anything. Then when the adverse findings came back and it was secure, it was solid, that it was, they doubled down on like, yeah, this is accurate and factual. It's like, oh man, I gotta pull them down. But today, in today's present day and time, when you talk about them two, it's like two different conversations. And I find it very hard for people who train the youth, who deal with women, female boxers, you know what I'm saying, in the sport, talking about whatever. It's like, yeah, if you having a casual conversation, that's one thing. But then it's like, what is it doing for the sport when all, like, they get a pass, you don't even talk about it. You don't even bring it up. But you get to talk about how attractive they are or how lustful you feel about them. It's like, boxing is in a weird place when you come online just for boxing. I know real life things come up, but like, man, we gotta stand on something. I like Tnk, man. I like the fact that he said, man, them belts, you gotta think, he probably got it from Floyd. But then he probably reasoned that, hey man, if I get all the belts, they ain't gonna respect you no way. Like with everything that Tnk did, him having the belts wouldn't make people respect him no longer, because they always make it up. It's like, oh man, he got into this domestic issue. Oh man, no man, he missed weight. Oh man, no man, he only fight Mexican, Hispanic fighters. Oh man, no, he only got them pay-per-views because of Ryan. Oh man, no man, Mario Barrios is weight drain, man. It's like he don't get the credit anyway. But at least he stood on what he said. He said, man, Kambosos, I don't want them belts. You know what I'm saying? I'll do something crazy to you. But you can keep them belts. I just want the money. And had they been able to reach an agreement, there would have never been no Kambosos and Devin. But then when you look at the leaps and bounds and the things and the stretches that Devin did to actually make a way to be able to fight Kambosos, In all reality, he had to. He really had no choice because he didn't have no leverage. He don't put no butts in no seats. You can demand all you want, but it's only a matter of time. Look at what happened with the Zone. People never really can put the dots together to see who are the big fighters that actually bankrupt the Zone. When they were talking about how they got all that extra money and all this, it was Devin, Triple G, and Canelo. Then they rolled off into the sunset. Triple G damn near retired. Devin, he was on the first thing over there for Peanuts to go fight Cambosis over there with Top Rank, and then doing another thing with Loma, a pay-per-view at that. Then you got Canelo going back to the PBC, getting whatever he wants. And when we asked where all the money went, it was them three. But people don't want to stand on nothing. They don't want to stand on that. It's tight, but it's right. I know some people find themselves in mid-sentence, like, I know I'm going to push for this. It's like, man, support your fighter. But stand on something. And it goes both ways, because if you tell somebody, hey, look, man, go get your own notoriety and fame. Don't say my name. Just stop saying my name. You can just stop saying my name for this period of time. If you could just do that, then you're going to show me something. And then a couple days later, you out there saying their name. Like, it's confusing. That's all the ammunition that the ops need to be able to go by. It's confusing. Because if I come to somebody and say, look, man, look, I got you next. I'm taking you out next. I got this. I got to go handle this, and then I'm right back at you. Let me know what's going on. Until then, unless we locked in and you in full comprehension of what we're trying to do, and you're going to acquiesce to everything that I ask, STFU. That's just how it is. But let's just start standing on something. And part of me is like divided, because I spend a lot of times being an advocate for those who don't have advocacy. So I might root for the underdog just to be polarized, just to have some energy, because it's no fun when I always got the advantage. It ain't no fun when this guy has always had the height, always had the reach, always had the size, always had the age. Hasn't taken on that much punishment. It's no fun when you have all the advantages. But sometimes I play the advocate for the other guy. That's what I do. But it's like, at the end of the day, man, we do want to see good fights. We do want to see the best fight the best. It just, we got to be able to stand on something, man. If we can't establish a standard to go by, that everybody agree with, man, we're always going to be divided, man. And we're always going to be the ones getting played. But you can't be unbiased and one thing come out and you ready to jump all on the other person. And then something else come out and that you know that what you used to believe, you shouldn't believe anymore because it's been unfounded, and you don't have the same energy, if not more, to correct that or put that fresh water back in the pond. It don't make no sense. How was it okay when Tank Davis went up to 140 and people said, oh man, you didn't fight the best in the division, you fought Mario Barrios and Regis was #1. So how was it that somebody can go up a weight class and fight somebody leftovers who they get no credit for beating them when they fought it, but at the point in time when you fighting the leftovers, they're not the creme de la creme. It's two arguable pound for pound fighters at the top, and you get away with not even saying nothing. And not only, just like everybody say, put all that pressure on Tank when he went and did it, nobody put no pressure on Tank for when this 147. And nobody put no pressure on him to go up there and fight the creme de la creme. But every one of his fans back when Tank went up to 140 to fight somebody that was not the creme de la creme at 140, everybody discounted that. Are you gonna stand on something? Or this is a business, man? This is a business, man. Like, are you mad at somebody because 2 years ago they were saying the truth and you wasn't on there? You hadn't been convinced. And then in time, you go on to realize that, yeah, he was right. But you don't never get right on that. You will never acknowledge that. You just find the excuse to be like, oh man, but I don't like him anyway because knowing you was daggone wrong the whole time. And is it about legacy or about money? Because when Errol Spence was sitting there waiting for Terrence Bud Crawford to actually do his thing, when he went off and he went and saw Avanesian for the little bag that he got, whatever number that was, never asked about another man's number. It's like, just like the Joker said, never rub up against another man's rhubarb. But how was it okay when he went to go do that and all his fans said, oh man, he was trying to feed his family. But he left legacy on hold. But then he gets there's no benefit of the doubt to Earl to say, oh man, you were inactive. Yeah, he did go get a bag on you and you didn't do anything. They say, oh, that's your fault. You should have went and got another fight. But if you went and got another fight, that would have pushed the window back even further. But y'all don't want to stand on nothing. So it's okay when your favorite fighter want to do something and go get the bag. But when the guy that's on the rise is pretty much getting all of the bags at his own terms, he's wrong. But no, it's because y'all don't really want to stand on nothing. You feel the backlash from what everybody's. Just like Beyonce, you know, when you say something that's going to offend Beyonce, or you say something to the Barbs when it come down to Nicki Minaj, it's the same way on YouTube when it comes to a certain fighter, because you don't want to offend, because you don't want that backlash, because you don't want to deal with them rounds coming back down range. You're not going to say nothing. You're not going to stand on nothing. And you know there's somebody right across from you doing the same thing that you're doing on the polar opposite end, and you won't check them. You pledge allegiance to them all the time, and you know that that's the source of all that BS. Nip that in the bud as an OG. Nip it in the bud. You know where it's coming from. You don't want to say nothing about it. Everybody's supposed to come to you like the big OG and say, oh man, yeah, because you so rational. It's like, well, get your friends in order. Your best friends, your BFF, the one that's creating all this, get them in order. If you the OG, that's too much heavy lifting. And you ain't built like that. Anybody that's coming up and pose a threat or got something contrary to what you got to say or want to go a route that you don't got, you got everything to say. You just let your peers just run amok, and your peers are the one that's starting this stuff. I get confused sometimes. I'm like, man, what side are we on, man? Are we on the side of being right? Are we on the side of being the most popular? Are we on the side to have longevity in the sport? It'll give us that energy. It'll give us that feeling every day, just talking and being a part of a sport that we love. Like, what's the part of it? Is it the control? Is it the fact that everybody know you on a first name basis? Is it the fact that you can just say something and like thousands of people will run with it? Or is it the fact that you know at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm doing what's right. And I'm not going to be affiliated with nobody that's like on that BS, because guess what? If this is job security and you make a living on YouTube talking about boxing, guess what? What's going on right now in boxing, it can actually impact your revenue. And it has, if you have not realized it. It has. It has. There's certain individuals, they don't really bring no real money. They don't really bring no real money. And when it come crashing down, or when that dude get knocked out, guess what's going to happen? Everybody stop. You ain't got to be Einstein to figure that out. Look at how they treating champions. If he the best thing since sliced bread, once he lose or get knocked out or something, ain't nobody gonna want to fight him. Ain't nobody gonna want to damage their reputation. The bag ain't gonna be there no longer. It's not. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things that's going on right now, he's hanging on the wing and a prayer. And a whole bunch of energy for people that's just thirsty. I've never seen so many people so thirsty and advocating for somebody to be so big against somebody that you already got all of the advantages. What more advantage do you want? Because I guess if we said we ain't doing no testing, no vital testing, you'll probably go, all right, well, cool. Yeah, let's do that then. It's like, what more advantages do you want in the sport? Or do we want to see fair fights? No. A lot of us are being exposed as being bullies. People that get off on having an upper hand, having all the numbers, having all the advantages, having everything going in your favor. But guess what? That's not how life is, man. At the end of the day, man, you respect the people that have to overcome the most. But in boxing, you don't get no credit for that. You don't get no credit for being in the per capita where everybody can box. Everybody can shoot basketball. Everybody can throw a football. Some people can hit a bat. Some people can play tennis. Some people are genius in tests. You just got to be that much better than the next man. That much faster than the next man. That much more accurate than the next man, or you're not going to make it. But because you make it to a certain level, and because people don't know how, and they can't justify, and they can look at your low level, humble beginnings, what you've done and what you put forward ain't worth nothing. I think it's a little bit better when somebody came out from nothing and didn't have anything and beat statistic and odds and giving back to their community and really don't say anything bad. I respect that a whole lot more. And I'm just wondering at some point, man, are we going to ever really be able to truly just stand on something, man? Like, I don't understand how do you co-host a show and you have all these opinions about this one fighter and you keep them to yourself and you just tiptoe and you tap dance all around and you let bygone be bygone, you let everything, you even laugh and giggle, and then you go and contrary to what you was on that show about doing as the lead one, you go and you make videos anti to the person. It's like, Is this duality? But I'm wrong. Like when I see that, or you go over to one channel where all they do is just SHIT on this one fighter. But then you go over to the other polar opposite end and you in there with them and you taking an opposite stand. I don't understand. Like I don't get it. We don't stand on anything nowadays. Let's start standardizing some of these things, man. If Conor Ben and Alicia come up in the same conversation, it should be the same conversation. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, she fine, and this and that, and oh man, she could do whatever, she could take whatever performance, and then Conor Ben gotta keep hearing the egg jokes. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Because it's a slippery slope. That just means that whenever you decide not to play by the rules or toe the line, that you're going to be able to get away with. In that case, you're an outlaw. And you ain't no different than just somebody just don't do anything that you want. Anything that conforms to anything for the good of everybody else. But we don't have any standards. There are people that actually fought like or sparred like 100 rounds with each other. And they had scheduled fights against each other. Oh no, man, that's not no. But then when it comes to the conversation of amateurs, somebody that done split in the amateurs, like, oh man, that's just the amateurs. It's like, hold on, man. So it's okay if you got a certain amount of popularity and you done sparred 100 rounds with this person, and you've been inactive. That's okay to just blindly. It's like, yeah, like putting the energy towards what you want, but like giving a proper analysis. Keeping it 100. Like if Tnk called somebody up off the couch, man, and then fought. Like if Tnk called out Abner Mares right now and that fight was happening in about 2 months, there would be a public outrage. If Tnk wanted to fight somebody that he done spent over 100 rounds, there would be a public outrage. If Tnk was to go and try to fight Jojo Diaz right now, it would be a public outrage. If Tnk went for Jorge Narvaez right now, it would be a public outrage. Stand on something. And y'all know the cliche, you gonna stand for something, man. You gonna fall for anything, man. I think a lot of people are just falling for anything and everything. And then the conversation around boxing, man, boxing has been distracted lately. It's a lot of good things, a lot of good subjects, a lot of good up-and-coming boxers. It's a lot of potential. It's a lot of talent out here. But we all distracted, man. I'm just asking, man, just at some point, man, let's just stand on something, man. Let's just stop playing around, man. Even just in the comment. Like, it used to be a good place where, oh, man, somebody might point out something that you didn't know, or school you to something, or even just make you, with the irony or the comedy, something that just makes it. Now with just people just out there just being outrageous, just blindly following no matter what this one do, It's like, nah, man, let's just stand on something, man, so we can kind of come together, because it's starting to become a microcosm of society, and a lot of us, like myself, go over to boxing to get away from politics, everyday life, and everything, whatever. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Boxing should be a good, healthy place, man, where we can keep it real, keep it 100. Really talk boxing, really get down to the X's and O's of boxing. You know what I'm saying? What's happening, what's not, who's more accurate, active, who's never had any advantages. That's another thing, man. It's a couple boxers who's never had any disadvantages, and we crown them. There's several of them out here, but they've never really been at a disadvantage. But we crown them reigning supreme. It's like, you don't know what you got until you've been up against something that where you didn't have every advantage. Well, you pretty much been you've had all the disadvantages. We haven't seen it. It's not stopping us from crowning people. It's just something to think about. But I figured I'd just come out here, man. Thanks for all the people that rock with this channel. You know what I'm saying? I know that I don't have all the gossip. I don't have all the interviews. I've been working out. I've been reaching out to some boxers and trying to get interviews and put my name out so I can get an opportunity to be able to show everybody how I will conduct an interview. You know what I'm saying? And then open myself up for criticism for how the interview went. You know what I'm saying? I think that there need to be opportunities for people who don't really want no real attachments, man. Just want to, you know what I'm saying, want to be able to walk away with two parties shaking hands, knowing that both parties got exactly what they wanted for and satisfied. Not one walking away thinking, oh man, I really got over on him. But that's how I want to do interviews. I want to do interviews where me and the person I interview, the boxer I interview, the trainer I interview, the amateur I interview, to where we walk away from the interview and we feel like, man, like, yeah, man, that was a good interview, good vibes, good, you know what I'm saying? And tough questions and subjects can come up, but it's all about how you do it. And I welcome that. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to sit down and we do an interview, you know what I'm saying? Or if you know somebody that's in the sport or around the sport that want to grow the sport, have solutions for the sport, and you don't see a lane for that, that's the lane I want to be in. You know what I'm saying? Often imitated, but never duplicated. Trust me. I got the receipts. Anyways, I thank everybody who tune into me. Thanks for everybody who like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. Everybody who just rock with me as an alternative to everything else that's being said. That's all this channel is. You know what I'm saying? You know how they say you want a second or a third or a fourth opinion? That's all it really is, man. That's all this channel is, a second or a third or a fourth opinion. You can believe what you want. And I'm just asking everybody, man, let's just start standing on something, man. And your heart of hearts, man, if you know that you might not like this one over here, or you just might be enamored with that one over there, man, let's just stand on something. To where if we were standing on this thing today and we stand on the same thing tomorrow, we're going to call it how it is. Thanks for tuning in here with BodyWorkBoxing. We don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. It was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Body Work.